Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of HOPStart. Today's episode is actually really exciting because Shuvro went to interview the co-founder of Little Black Book. Also, since he did, the anchor link for my episode, I thought I'd do the anchor link for his episode. HOPStart friendship. Let's start the HOPStart episode.
Hi, I'm Suchita Salvan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LBB, or Little Black Book as we're popularly known.
Suchita, hi. First of all, welcome to HOPStart.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking out some time from your busy schedule. Let's quickly jump to the point of LBB, Little Black Book. It's got a well-known platform. A lot of people know about it. We'll get into the nitty-gritties. We'll understand how it all started. But to start with, I have a confusion.
Sure.
Now, we are NDTV Hop Live. We are a mobile platform. It's a channel. We have different shows in it. How different is LBB from us?
I think dramatically different. At the end of the day, mediums remain the same. So, for instance, what's the difference in between NDTV and Star World, right? Or what's the difference in between NDTV and Aaj Tak or whatever? Mediums remain the same. So, mediums for on your platform or on ours could be video, text, photo, etc.
Yeah.
But I think the intent of the platforms are dramatically different. So, I don't know about you guys, but our intent is to connect users with great local brands and businesses. So, everything that we built our platform around, it isn't really virality. A lot of it is how do I help you find that great chartwala that you're going to after this shoot because of LBB, right? Or how do I help you find that awesome place to find printed shirts for men?
Yeah.
So our whole platform is gamified and designed to make that connect in between a customer and a merchant happen, which is why all the content that you see on LBB is about local vendors, right? It is about local brands.
Yeah.
And I think for us, the other biggest differentiator is we're one of the few platforms in this country that I won't say has been able to crack, but has made significant headway in bringing together community content and commerce models. So what we recently enabled through our platform was now you can shop through, you can shop great local brands and businesses. So Vishal Footwear, which is this well-known dukaan in Paharganj,
Right.
you can buy his shoes through LBB.
Right.
80% of our content is community generated, so
So
this...
it's like if I land up finding an amazing place, maybe in Karol Bagh,
Yeah.
and I feel like sharing it with people.
Yeah.
So there
You
you
can
go.
post
This
it
is
on
the medium
LBB.
I put
Exactly.
it up, and that kind of helps. So
Exactly.
so recently, as you mentioned, you have kind of integrated e-commerce in it. Before that, it was more like a vlog and people sharing. It's like a community kind of a thing,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
So I'm a little curious. How did it all started, and how long has it been for you guys kind of running the show?
So it actually started as a passion project. I used to be with the BBC earlier, and I was young, ambitious as I've always been. And I was earning really well at the BBC, though my life's goal was to get the hell out of Delhi. But because I was doing well at work, I didn't really have any impetus to pack up and leave, right? So to make my life in Delhi more interesting, I thought instead of, complaining about Delhi and sort of, complaining about Delhi mein kuch nahi hai, why isn't it more like New York or some other, city all over the world? I decided to actually step out and find more of what my city had to offer.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time in my back then 22, 23 years of existence in Delhi, I actually went to markets or places that I'd never ever explored before. And I just fell in love with what my city and its people have to
has
offer.
to offer you.
Exactly. And I think life really, the magic of Delhi, or not just Delhi, but any city really comes about when you scratch the surface, right? And when you dig deeper and you find those great brands and businesses that you would never find on a Google very easily, but platforms like LBB enable them to be discovered. So I think for us, for me at least, the journey was very, it was a bit of a selfish pursuit where I just wanted to make my city more interesting for me. And
I think everyone wants to do that a little bit.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
absolutely. I think, especially in today's day and age where, you know, you've got Instagram telling you how shitty your life is and how you need to make it better by doing new things and going to new places. I think we're happy to feed a lot of that, you know, inertia that's been generated in this millennial sort of audience. But yeah, that's how we started out.
That's quite awesome. Now the thing is basically LBB. So I mean, initially for example, if I wanted to know about something like some good food in the city, some good place to travel around the city, so the best thing for me was to kind of approach, you know, some friend of mine. Hey, do you know about that place? You know, I might want to travel to Himachal.
Yeah.
What do you suggest?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to shop something in budget.
Yeah.
I don't want to go for those like bingy things. I want to go for like something nice, sorted Janpat kind of a thing, but I don't know. So we always wanted to know it from a person who has like, who I have a trust on.
Correct.
Now the world has shifted, right? Over the last 1 decade, there has been a huge revolution digitally. And I think you are completely digital. I mean, we all are digital here.
Yeah.
How has the transition been? I mean, if you look into your business model, if I look into it, revenue generation, it's all digital, right?
That's correct.
How has been the transition for you?
So I think for us, we've taken a lot of cues from the real world and put it on our platform.
Right.
So for example, one of the most popular formats on LBB is store tours, which is essentially a user or someone from our team or you know, even an Instagram influencer or whoever. They go to a store and they essentially record the store and they tell you their favorite things to shop from that store, right? So we've taken that very sense of you asking a friend, but on LBB you have access to thousands and thousands of friends who are uploading all of this information and telling you about all of these great places. So I think a lot of what we've tried to do is we've tried to ensure that the sentiment of LBB continues to be, it feels like it's coming from a friend. It feels like it's coming from someone who's actually been there, done that. Which is why, for instance, video plays a big role on our platform, right? There's nothing quite like seeing someone going to a place and checking it out.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, or like getting authentic reviews and recommendations from people. I think the other thing that we've tried to do to sort of mirror this omni-channel existence of the new age consumer is we've created a lot of we've created this ecosystem where people can actually use LBB to step out. So we have a unit on our platform called online to offline or O2O, and essentially you can access, you know, hundreds of thousands of events and experiences which you can, you know, register for or sign up on the app, and you can, you know, go and experience it offline.
Absolutely.
So for example, we recently launched an IP for Amazon Prime for Comicstan, and we recreated Comicstan offline, and you know, we had like thousands of our users sign up and they thoroughly enjoy the experience. So I think the future of digital really is in how do you take that offline sentiment and recreate it online, and also use your digital platform as a way to drive behavior offline. And I think that's what we've been able you know, to sort of crack through our platform.
2, 1.
How do you kind of, I mean, keep yourself apart from, since when we talk about online shopping and whatever, like activity or e-commerce, when people like Amazon, Flipkart, like I'm sure you don't want to kind of, where do you want to see yourself somewhere with these guys maybe in future, or how do you place yourself?
I think if you look at any data point around India, right, hardly 6% of commerce in India or retail in India has been captured digitally or has been captured online. 95% of retail transactions in India actually happen with what we call unbranded brands. And unlike the West, in India, less than 6% of retail is driven by the top 10 retailers. So what that means is India, unlike economies in the West and in Europe, most of India is actually dominated by this medium to long tail of businesses, which in LBB parlance
that's
we
an
call
interesting insight.
Exactly, we call. So for example, I don't know about you, but I grew up on Pusa Road, which is right in front of Karol Bagh, right? And we never went to fancy malls. Most of our shopping or consumption was the Roshandi kulfi, standard barfi, Baluja shoes,
Sure.
and that's very much in the fabric of our country. There's
Absolutely.
there's a very small percentage which actually goes to malls and shops, mass market.
In fact,
brands.
that's a very fresh and a very new thing, only mostly to do with the metropolitans, right?
Exactly. And when you really start scratching the surface of how India consumes, most of it is through this medium to long tail of local brands and businesses. Even restaurants you go to, how many of them are large chains, right? Most of them are like independent, 1 to
Correct.
5 outlets.
And they are in fact known for that itself. Maybe, standing.
Exactly. And I think that's a lot of what we want to celebrate. We're in the business of providing consumers with choice, not options. So the goal is how do you help you get closer and closer
Sure.
to that great business that you want to go to,
Right.
or that aligns with your tastes and preferences.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of what we've been able to capture, which in my opinion, I don't think any of the other platforms can capture, because if you look at the way they work, they're all aggregators, right? So we are not in the business of aggregation. We're in the business of driving choice. So in a world of Amazons and Flipkarts and Google and whoever else, we're more like the Netflix, where it's about just getting you to that.
It's more like a mainstream program, or
No, I think for us it's more of you're giving the user a personalized experience. You're helping the user watch things that they're more interested in, and in our case, the watch things is equal to going to places of finding brands and businesses that align closer
Fair enough.
to where you're coming from.
And Suchita, one thing, since it's a career-oriented show, there are a lot of viewers who are very keen in understanding the opportunity to kind of get into a sector in a field like this. So first of all, for that matter, one question: where do you see LBB as, in which sector or which field? Do I consider it's not completely e-commerce, right?
No, not at
so
all.
what kind of a field or an industry do I consider this be in?
I think the way we describe ourselves is we're online, we're in the industry of online retail. Because essentially who we're connecting, our business and where our money is coming from is these retailers.
Yeah.
Obviously retail in LBB sense could be everything from food retail to, your fashion and lifestyle retail or whatever. So the type of retail varies, but essentially we're digitizing largely offline retail. That's the industry that we're in.
And what about the different departments and laterals in which there are options? Like, I'm sure, like, you must be having a creative team, you must be having a content team.
Yeah.
What kind of segregation? How do you do this segregation?
So our larger teams are our product and technology teams, because at the end of the day we're a product, right? And that's what users consume. We have a fairly large community team. So like I said, 80% of our content comes from our users. So for us, it's imperative to make sure that our community of users who are creating content on LBB, that's thriving,
Right.
and that's constantly motivated. We have a small e-com team, which would be a mix of your merchandisers, your cat ops people, your merchant operations, vendor operations. But I think LBB really is the best of all worlds. We like versatile people, and I think if for folks who are watching, if you're a young person looking to
That
get a
was
job,
my second question, actually.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
looking for getting in, what is that kind of characteristics, or what is that you look into people when you are kind of taking them in?
I think we really like working with people who are agile, and that's especially important in today's day and age, because as I'm sure you've seen, industries are getting disrupted at a pace faster than has
Any
ever
day
been
before?
seen, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the only way you can survive is it's not really survival of the fittest anymore. It's survival of the most agile or the most flexible person, and you have to kind of move with the consumers until you can get consumers to move with you. Sure. And there are very few companies. I mean, you have to hit crazy scale, right? To like an Amazon or whoever else to be able to really transform consumers and make them do things that you want them to. But up until then, you kind of need to get on consumer trends, especially if you're in a business like ours, which is consumer facing.
Yeah.
So I do think for any industry, whether it's ours or anyone else's, technologies are getting outdated. AI and ML apparently is going to take over the world, and
That's what is happening. I mean, in HOPStart we have met a lot of people. Everything has been integrated through AI. You know, sometime back we met this person. He is doing digital marketing integrating AI in it. So like AI is the next thing, machine learning and
I mean, I do think it's a slightly it's an overhyped sector in my opinion, and the reason I'm saying that is especially in India, technology does take time to catch up. And I do think the technologies that will catch up faster than the others are the ones that affect the lowest common denominator. And I don't, and unless there's like AI and whatever, we can talk about that at a later stage. But my take on this is, if you want to continue to be relevant 20 years later, you need to be agile enough to
absolutely,
maneuver yourself and continue to figure out a way to stay up to date with the best technologies and the most interesting industries out there.
And what about education and experience? What do you think? Like for someone young these days, it's a trend where the priority and the focus is very much different to do with different guys. Like some people are thinking like, hey, educate more than education. I think it's more of nice exposure, nice experience working somewhere as an intern and kind of learning things. And one is like, I get the best education, and that's definitely is one of the biggest catalysts for my growth in my career.
Yeah. So see, my take on it is, I believe education is a lifelong process. I fundamentally do not understand what you learn in school and in college, which you cannot really learn through real life experiences. That said, I do think there are obviously some basics and foundations that need to be set, through your years in high school, and in your undergrad. But that said, I do think what's really, really important for a young person looking out to join the workforce is everything is in education. And if you look at your job as a way to educate yourself versus
that's also,
exactly, and I think that's really what's critical. For all practical purposes, I'm the least qualified person in our company, right? I have an undergrad degree in economics,
right,
and nothing that we're doing has anything to do with econ.
But pretty similar to do with me as well. So I mean, that's what, like, I mean, I also think like, it never depends on what you start with some particular subject and you might just stick to it. Yeah, there are people who would stick to it, but the world is big enough to explore for sure, and people should dig in for sure.
They must.
Well, Suchita, it was great having a chat with you.
Oh, thank you.
And although it seems to be a little shorter, I wish we could have had a longer chat, but great to know such awesome things are happening these days. And especially to do with LBB. And let's see, maybe in future we'll see something if we can work out something together.
Absolutely.
And it'd be great working together.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of HOPStart.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Right.